Welcome back. So in the prior video, we implemented the first three or four capabilities of a simple to-do list application. What we're going to do now is we're going to build that out into a story map so that we can stage releases as with ever-growing capabilities and manage that as we go. Let's take a look at our code. So again, in the prior videos, what we did is we implemented create lists. And remember, what you're seeing here is that you get to see the changes between not just the code in the commit, but you get to see how the capabilities changed. In this case, complete to do went from planned to implemented, and you get to sort of see all the other stuff. That's the advantage of having capabilities in files, is you get to see next to when you're doing your code review in your pull requests, you get to see the verification status, and you also get to see how the capabilities were added, removed, or changed as you go. So, at the moment we have a very simple to-do list application. What we want to do though is we want to build that out into a much bigger application. And I want to turn this to-do into a Kanban tool. Now, if we have a look at currently where we're at, we've got our filtering, we've got our ability to create to-dos. Let's turn this into a Kanban tool. But first of all, let's do some thinking about how we divide it up. Now, built into CapabilityKit and the skill is the ability to define releases and story maps. And I'll show you how this gets displayed in a moment. So at the moment, I'm saying use CapabilityKit to define a set of releases and story maps for making this simple to-do application a Kanban system for managing software projects. Aim for at least an MVP and 2 future releases. So when I hit go on that, what's going to happen now is it's going to construct some new capabilities and break them up into an MVP and a few extra releases to turn this into a Kanban tool. So it's going to take a little while for that to work on that. I'm going to pause you and I'll be right back as soon as it's finished doing its job. And just like that, we're back. Now it ran for, I'm not sure how long it ran for, 3 minutes and 19 seconds. And what it's told me here is it's gone and created a set of capabilities under the Kanban banner here. And you sort of see what it's done is it's had a shot at the summary and the story mapping section for each of these. Now, again, how do we best sort of see that? Well, you'll sort of see under our visualization, sorry, let me just move this up and let me move this across, is that we can actually see a story map viewer. So if I do CapabilityKit, sorry, you have to watch me type. I know it's painful. What we do is we create a story map viewer HTML file. If I copy that and I go and paste that into a new folder here, you'll sort of see that now you get to see the releases and the different sort of sections. So the MVP for the Kanban, this is what we would need to implement. And it gives you the journey, the user journey up here about the project setup, creating the workspace. And then inside each of those there, it's created a capability file that we can sort of see. Now at the moment, none of these are actually implemented, right? So you'll sort of see that everything is going to be planned and glowing red because the acceptance criteria is not present yet, which is exactly what we would have expected. Now remember, nothing has changed in our application. Nothing changes until we actually go and implement these files, right? But you will sort of see that our graph gets a little bit busier because we've gone from having 4 completed things to having all of these unrelated things. Now, at the moment, there is no way of really knowing which one I should implement first. So let's go fix that. Add capability Kit dependencies of the Kanban capabilities. And again, what it's going to do now is it's going to go through and it's going to find out which is the right first one to implement so that we can build the capabilities progressively from a coding perspective, from an understanding that we need this before that. And it's what often it's the first step sort of in planning, but we have a lot of, we get to separate the defining the capabilities that we want to understanding the order that we're going to implement them. And it's going to go through and it's going to add those. Let's give it a few seconds to go through and do that. And then let's go and have a look at the graph. And that will help us understand which is the right first one to implement from a coding perspective. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to implement from the code's perspective. You should probably use planning mode in the tool of your choice, but separate the plans from the capabilities and the acceptance of those capabilities. All right, so let's just see if where that's going there at the moment. I'm just going to create that. If we come over here now, what we're going to see is that you sort of see that everything is pretty much dependent on the creating a work item, or maybe even sort of creating a project. Okay, so whatever we're going to start from, it's pretty much sort of one of these larger ones. The size of the bubble is the number of things that depend on it. So you want to go for the largest one, and that gives you the best starting point. So in this case, it's sort of saying we start with managing board columns or create project. Let's sort of start with maybe create project and then go from there. So what we would come over to our implementation now, and we would just say implement the create project capability. And we would progressively turn those from red capabilities to green capabilities by making sure that the acceptance criteria, a user can create a project with a required project name, empty or white space only project names are rejected. Without a project, the created project becomes the active project after creation, and project data persists across page refreshes. And we've got some guidance there, which I've added earlier. I'm sort of saying, let's not add a database just yet. Let's just keep it as local first storage. And it's, it understands where it is in the planning map. Basically, if you can go through and you can sort from these orders, that's the order that you would need to implement it in order to make sure that you're not building something that's dependent on something else that's not yet built. All right, that's all for now. I'm going to let this run, but it's going to do exactly what you expect it to do. It's going to code and create against this acceptance criteria. Thank you.